Welcome back to another Fantasy Puck video, guys. It's Chris. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. We are going to try and get through this video as efficiently as possible so you guys can go and enjoy the big game. We are going to be going over our Week 18 preview and best streamers for this upcoming week. So without further ado, guys, let's get right into the video. We're seeing the NHL schedule kind of regulate back to normal after that weird kind of post-All-Star 2-week Week 17 that you guys had in fantasy hockey. The off nights this week are February 12, 14, 16, 18. Very similar to the typical schedules that you see for the NHL. The Monday, the Wednesday, the Friday, and the Sunday are the off nights, with the Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday being the busier nights of the week. We've got Arizona with a perfect schedule for this week, 4 games, 4 off nights. So if you're targeting anybody on any team, it should be somebody from the Coyotes. And then we have 2 teams that are offering 4 games with 1 off night in the LA Kings and the New Jersey Devils. So we definitely want to target those guys, as those are the only 2 other teams that have 4 games this week. Pretty much every single other NHL team will have 3 or less games, and a lot of those teams that have 3 games either have 3 games on all busy nights or 3 games and maybe like 1 off night. So I didn't want to include them or highlight them in this for the best schedule, because you should be targeting people that have 4 games for this upcoming week if you're streaming someone. Jackets, the Caps, the Jets, the Islanders, and the Golden Knights are the 5 teams that only have 2 games this week. So if you have players on these teams that you were streaming in a prior week, or are just not, elite players that you need to keep on your team, I highly recommend dropping these guys and picking up one of the streamers that we recommend in this video, simply because you're going to get the most bang for your buck. As like I said, a lot of these guys only play 2 games, and most of them are simply only 1 off night. So again, we don't want to target anybody from these teams when we're talking about streaming a player. And if you have players on your teams that are not of great value, I would recommend dropping them and streaming somebody for this upcoming week. For our Week 18 forward streams, I kind of do it just based off of ownership percentage. Trevor Moore being the highest at 63%. Line 2, a power play 2. He's been solid all year in terms of production. He's got a good shot volume, and he'll chip in the hits and blocks category as well. So he should be a really good option if you need somebody for 4 games this week. And he does have the Sunday as the off night. Lawson Krause is a really good option. Line 2, power play 2, a good shot volume on top of that, as well as goal scoring upside. And he'll chip in the hits category as well. Perfect schedule for the week. So obviously an ideal forward stream if you can get to him. There isn't really anybody else on Arizona with a higher ownership percentage that I would recommend grabbing. Like Clayton Keller is 93% owned currently. So you're definitely not going to be able to get to him as a streaming option. If for whatever reason that guy is available, he should be on a team. Victor Arvidsson is skating in a regular jersey. I don't know exactly when he's going to be back, if it's this week at all, or it could be next week. He should get a top 6 role when he does return. He's 39% owned already, so be sure to snag this guy if you can in general. Like, he should have a good amount of shot volume going forward, as we've seen historically with Arvidsson, and a good goal scoring upside on top of that. He should get some power play 2 time as well. I don't know exactly how LA is going to deploy him. I'm just assuming that's where he's going to slide into, but if he's available, I recommend him. I'm actually shocked that he has a higher ownership number than Quinton Byfield, who's been absolutely phenomenal. So if Arvidsson's already snagged up for whatever reason, you have no reason to not pick up Byfield. Center, left wing eligible, can play pretty much anywhere. He's line 1, power play 1. He's been fantastic this season. I would honestly probably take Byfield over anybody else on this list except for Krause, just given the fact that he's been the most successful and has the most upside, being line 1 and power play 1. Moving on to some of our deeper forward streams of the week. Again, we see a lot of Arizona Coyotes because of how good their schedule is. Nick Schmaltz is continuing to play on line 1 and power play 1, even though he's been kind of underwhelming from a production standpoint this year. Just given the schedule, there is literally no downside to streaming him. It's 4 free games for the week if you can get to him at 19% owned, and he's got line 1 and power play 1 upside, playing alongside Clayton Keller. There isn't really a downside to that, even though Schmaltz hasn't been good. If you want to go with somebody a little bit more consistent, or that has maybe a higher floor, I would recommend a Jason Zucker. Left wing, only 8% eligible. He is playing line 3, but he does get some power play 2 time. He's a really good player when it comes to shots and hits. So if you want somebody with maybe a little bit higher floor than, say, Schmaltz does, but not necessarily a higher ceiling, I would go with Jason Zucker. Eric Hall is another great option at left wing. He was playing center alongside Jack Hughes Hughes last game in New Jersey. They do like to change up their lines quite a bit, so just keep an eye on him. But Hall has been pretty consistent in terms of production and shots for somebody that's playing, you know, kind of that middle six role and getting power play 2 time. And then Dylan Guenther is for some reason on line 4. I was also going to include Logan Cooley because he's got like the 3rd most power play points on the Arizona Coyotes, but they seemingly have just taken him off of the power play for whatever reason and replaced him with Dylan Guenther. And they're both playing line 4, but I wouldn't worry too much about the line 4. He's still getting over 12 to 15 minutes a night for Guenther. So he's been solid as well too. If you go look at his game log, he's got 6 points in his last 5 games or something along those lines. So power play 1 option as well. He's had a couple power play points in his last 3 games. So I highly recommend grabbing Guenther, especially if you're in a deeper league. He seems to have a lot of upside right now with the Coyotes. Up next, we've got our defenseman streams for week 18, Sean Durzi and Luke Hughes. For whatever reason, if they're available in your league, I highly recommend grabbing one of them if possible. They're both power play 1, pair 1 defensemen that get a ton of ice time and power play upside. So if either of those two are available, if you're in like an 8-man league or if you're in a 10-man league, highly recommend streaming one of them for the week because you get 4 games out of them, especially Durzi where they're all off nights. Matt Roy is just an absolute peripherals machine. He's got 90 plus shots, hits, and blocks on the year. He's an absolute stud in the block category as well, and he's got a ton of hits on top of that. So Matt Roy, honestly, a really, really good peripherals option for this week. You get 4 games out of him and an off night on this Sunday. Simon Nemec of the New Jersey Devils is seeing pair 2 power play 2 time. So again, for those of you that are in deeper leagues, that's a good option. You get some exposure to still some good players in New Jersey's power play. They've been experimenting more and more with splitting up their 2 units. So Nemec could be somebody that, again, he sees over 20 minutes a night and it will get you power play 2 times. So should be a good option for this week given the schedule. And then JJ Moser at 3% owned is the power play 2 defenseman in Arizona. If for whatever reason Durzi goes down with an injury, he's likely going to get bumped up. But regardless of the fact, he's solid across the board when it comes to peripheral stats as well. And at 3% owned, for those of you that are in deeper leagues, you should be grabbing this guy if you need a defenseman to stream for this upcoming week. Finally, guys, our goalies. There isn't honestly a lot this week, and a lot of the back-to-back options are literally listed in front of you currently. The only one that isn't is David Riddick. He's 20% owned. He's now started in the last 4 games for the LA Kings and has won their last 2 games. So I honestly expect him to continue to see the starting role in LA as they desperately need to get the ship turned back around and on track. He's only 20% owned, so highly recommend grabbing him. He should play a game against Buffalo on the Tuesday, which unfortunately isn't an off night. It is a busy night. So if you do need a goalie stream, Riddick at 20% owned, you can't go wrong with that. And then Nedeljkovic and Stolars are back-to-back options later in the week. One is playing against Chicago. The other is against Buffalo again. Pittsburgh and Florida are both solid teams. So highly recommend grabbing one of those 2 goalies later in the week if you need a goalie stream. That is going to do it for our Week 18 preview, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like button. It really, really helps us out in the YouTube algorithm. And if you enjoy our content, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Hopefully you guys enjoy the game tonight. Should be a good one. I will see you in the next video. Have yourselves a fantastic rest of the day.